Grab your cup of coffee because it's time for a little inspiration. Good morning and a happy Wednesday to you guys. Thank you for joining me here for another episode of Coffee Time Inspirations, where I share with you tips on making your website and your small business gorgeous, efficient, and working for you to connect more genuinely with your ideal customers. For those of you joining me for the first time, I am Teresa Schloop with Web Designs by Teresa, and it is my extreme pleasure to work with small business owners across the nation, helping them create a website that is gorgeous, efficient, and working as hard as they do, if not harder. And I am super excited about today's topic because today's topic is one that comes up a lot in conversations with some of the people that I am working with some of my clients, and that is all about competition. And it's a really, really hot topic that brings up a lot of anxiety and fear and frustration and animosity and so many other things, but it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to bring up any of those things. And in fact, it can be something that fuels you to refresh, recharge, and make your business that much bigger. Or better, sorry, that much better. So that is what I want to talk to you about today. So one of the things that I learned really, really early on is how when it comes to our mindset around competition, we have that ability to either use it to our advantage or to allow it to keep us from the success that we deserve. And one of the things that I want to help you do is find a mindset that is going to help you get competition to fuel you in a way that is powerful and inspirational and charging and all of that. So I wanted to share with you something that an experience from my past that kind of brings all of this together. And that's just a little story of how I faced competition for the first time as an entrepreneur. Now, a lot of you are going to know that I don't really believe in competition. You'll hear me say this often. I really don't believe in competition. When people ask me what I do about competitors and things like that, like I just flat out say I don't believe in competition. And that's not entirely true, but I think that you'll understand what I mean as I go through this. So flashing back to when I was a brand new entrepreneur and I was working on my life coaching business, I had a quick up close look to the ugly side of competition. And what it was when I started my business, I was a life coach and I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. And I had a hypnotherapy series that was really doing well with a lot of my clients. And it was really bringing people to a more positive focus and shift in their life. And I decided to take that hypnotherapy series and turn it into a meditation series. And that I was going to open up to the public and do it in a workshop type format where people could come together, do this meditation, and then, grow together as a group. And I was really excited about this series because I could see the potential that it had in a group setting. And it had already really helped a lot of my one-on-one clients. So I put this meditation workshop together. I put it on my website, I put it on Facebook, and back in those days, flyers at certain areas in town was a better benefit for marketing purposes. Like that's what worked best for me to bring people in for workshops. And so I created these gorgeous flyers and I put them up all over town. And it was getting pretty good traction right off the bat. Now, I'd only been in business for a few months. So when people were signing up and talking about it and there was a lot of energy around it, I was really excited and I knew I was onto something good. I had people pre-registering for the workshop and a lot of inquiry. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, all of that came to a screeching halt. Like nobody was talking about this meditation workshop series that I had coming up. Nobody was registering anymore. And people had started to unregister for the workshop. And I was really confused and shocked and thought, what the heck is going on? I don't even know what is happening here. Well, come to find out, somebody was copying my meditation workshop. And I figured this out when I went out. I decided to, until I figured out what was going on, I decided to make new flyers. As I said, Flyers were my best marketing tool back then. So I made these new flyers to go hang up around town until I figured out what was going on and why all the energy around this workshop had stopped. And when I got to the first location, I saw another coach in town whose services were similar and overlapped a little bit, but we were also very different in many ways. She had decided to offer a very similar workshop, meditation workshop, for free. Her flyer was a paraphrase of my flyer. So I can't say flat out that she absolutely copied me, but it was so similar. It was just a little bit too much coincidence. And not only had she paraphrased and copied the workshop in many ways, but her flyers were either hung right above mine, over top of my flyers, and in some cases had completely replaced my flyer in the locations that I hung things. So I knew right away that this person had claimed me to be their competition. And I didn't really understand that. She was a well-established coach at the time, and I was a newbie. I had only been in business for a few months, but she had labeled me her competition. And she was trying to overshadow me and to outshine me in any way possible. This, I can be honest with you, like really kind of devastated me. I was a new entrepreneur and I'm in a holistic field, and I really did not expect that to happen. I really did not expect somebody to come up and do that and to copy my stuff. But it's exactly what she did do. And she did it for about 6 months. Every time I launched a new workshop, she would launch a similar workshop, and it was usually cheaper, if not free. She gave a lot of stuff away for free, so that wasn't good for her business. But that's kind of what happened. And in that first 6 months, I didn't always handle it very well. I was angry, I was mad, I was hurt, I was wanting to lash out at this person, and none of that felt really good to me at all. And I didn't like where my mindset was at when I was focused on this person trying to purposely compete with me and take the clients that I had started bringing in. So I decided that I needed to make a choice how I was going to handle competition moving forward. And I needed to make a choice that was going to support my business so that it could grow rather than to have me struggling to always be in competition with the other person. Because when we're focused on trying to beat somebody, we can't be focused on how we're going to be better as ourselves. And I needed to figure out how I was going to do that. So early on, I made the decision that I didn't believe in competition. Flat out, I just made a choice that I am not going to believe in competition, because when I focused on competition, I was too busy measuring myself against other people. I was too busy looking at their faults as well as my own. And I wasn't looking at anything positive that was going to bring me to a place of success. I was in a lack-focused mindset that was hurting my business more than it was helping my business. And I knew that if I didn't get out of it, I was going to stay stuck. And this success that I was craving was always going to be outside of my reach. What I chose to believe in instead of competition was to shift my focus to inspiration. And that's what I did. So even today, when I come across another competitor, or by competitor, I mean somebody who is in my field of expertise, I don't look at them and measure myself against them, or look at their faults and then look at my own. I don't look at them as somebody who's going to steal my clients, because I really do believe that there is more than enough to go around in the world. There's more than enough work for me. I don't want to build every website in the world, and I'm happy to refer people to other web designers if that is what is the best fit for them. What I do instead is when I come across these other people who are in my field of expertise, I look at them at what they're doing really, really well. And I may come across them in person, whether I meet them at a networking meeting or an event that I attend, or maybe I just stumble upon their website in my own random web searches. I'm a website designer, so I'm always doing web searches for something. But it doesn't matter how I come across them. I take a look at that person and say, what are they doing really, really well? And I ask myself, when I look at what they're doing really well, I ask myself, are there potential clients that I have that would be better served by this person? Because if that is the case, if their project and their goals are a better fit for this other person, then I am open to referring them to somebody else because I want to make sure that they are that I am the best fit for them. It's not fun to work on a project when it's a forced fit and you're not focused on the same goals and the same things. It becomes a struggle. And so I always want to make sure that I'm the best fit for those that I work with. And once I look at this other person and their strengths and what it is that they bring to the table, then I make a point to look at what I do really well too. And most of the time, what I am doing really well is not the same as what they do really well. There can be overlap, of course. There's always going to be levels of overlap. But there are going to be things that I am really freaking amazing at and things that this other competitor is really freaking amazing at. And so that's kind of what I try to do, is look at what they're doing well and what I am doing well. And then I'll ask myself, does what they're doing in business, does it inspire anything, any actions that I would want to take in my own business? Not a copycat. And we'll talk a little bit more about copycats here in just a minute because I don't want to let that topic go just yet. But it's possible that when I see what they are doing, I may be inspired to do something in my own business that aligns with what it is that I want to accomplish. And so I'll ask myself, am I wanting to take these actions just because I want to copy this person because I'm afraid of that they might take clients? Or does it feel really amazing to do whatever this person has inspired in me? And then I will make sure that whatever action they have inspired, that it aligns beautifully with my own vision and goals. If something that I see them doing that inspires me to change doesn't align with my vision and goals, and it needs to align easily, then I'm not going to do it, at least not at this time. If it feels forced in any way, I'm just not going to do it because my vision and goals for my business are the very core and foundation of what I'm building. And if I go outside of those, especially just to compete with somebody, my business and my success is going to suffer greatly. And so that's how I shifted my focus, and I started looking at things from a place of inspiration rather than competition. And here's the cool thing that happened is that when I started doing that, I started having a mindset of abundance that fueled my business and took me to a higher level of success. And I also found opportunities where I could connect with people who were in my field of expertise and we could collaborate on things together. I've worked with other web designers. I worked with other life coaches when I was a life coach. And both of us were able to benefit and be successful because we decided to collaborate together. And how cool is it when you see two people who should be at odds working together to do something? It's amazing. And when we do that, when we work together, we create something that is even more powerful and that can honestly be unstoppable. So that's the approach that I took with this lady a few years ago, and that I continue to take when I come with competition. And that is simply to look at them as how can they inspire me? Because this is an amazing person in front of me who's doing incredible things. And how can they inspire me to be a better version of myself? But again, I said I wanted to talk about the copycats because that's something that everybody is going to face. You're going to have those people who try to copy what you do and try to be you and overshadow you and outshine you and all of that. And that you're not going to ever stop that in business. That's just, part of it. And I will say I hate that phrase where it says flattery is the best form, or imitation is the best form of flattery. I really hate that. I think it's imitation, and I think it means that they're not honoring themselves when they're too busy copying you. And I don't think that that's a good thing or a positive thing. So what I do when I have somebody who is purposely trying to compete with me, I take an approach that a lot of people would think is crazy, and that is simply I offer to buy them a cup of coffee. And it sounds weird and it sounds bizarre, but I want to connect with this person on a personal level. And that's exactly what I actually did with this other coach, is I invited her to have a cup of coffee with me when she was in the process of trying to copy me. And when she responded with, well, I don't drink coffee, I said, well, let's get a cup of tea. When she didn't accept that invitation, I reached out later on and said, let's have lunch. Let's connect. And I continued reaching out to this other coach until she was open to connecting with me. she declined my invitations multiple times, but I didn't let it stand in the way. And in fact, when I would run into her out in public, I always made a point to go up to her, to give her a hug, to say hello, to ask how life was going, how business was going. And I knew her on a personal level before this, so hugging her wasn't completely weird and awkward. She knew me. We had the same circle of friends in a lot of ways. And so I just continued to go up and approach her until we were able to have that sit-down conversation to talk about life and business. And it so happened that we ran into each other one night at a restaurant. I was there early. I was going to meet a friend. So I was sitting at the bar having a glass of wine, and she had just stopped off to have a glass of wine on her way home. Her husband was out of town. And she joined me, and we had an incredible chat. Like, we talked about life and business and so many things, and chatted really well for probably over an hour because my friend turned out to be running late. But the cool thing was that at the end of that conversation over a glass of wine is we saw each other as people. She saw me and understood me a little bit better as a person, and I saw her a little bit better as a person. And we didn't see each other as competition. We saw each other as people with similar expertise, and we were able to come together. The very cool thing about that is that by inviting her to this, reaching out and having this glass of wine with her, she stopped copycatting me. All of the copycatting stopped. And while I would never say that we were completely become the best of friends, we got along after that. And even with our services overlapping, we were able to shine in our own individual ways in our business. And that is how I deal with clients or with other competitions to this day. I just have a cup of coffee with them. So those are my thoughts and inspirations on how to break those barriers of competition. And I hope that it has helped you guys a little bit in how to deal with it from your own perspective. And again, like I said, don't look at them as competition or as the enemy or as this hard charging, I have to take them down. Look at them as somebody with expertise that is making their corner of the world a much better place. When we can all look at each other from that perspective, we really are going to make our own corner of the world a little bit better place. So I hope this has helped you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me here. If you have any questions, feel free to message me personally or just post in the comments below. Hop on my website, teresashaloop.com. I would love to connect with you guys. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. And we'll talk to you guys again on Friday. Have a great day.